Welcome to Iconic TV Live. Here's the thing. There is one factor that is going to be the greatest determinant of how wealthy you will be in your business. And do you know what that one factor is? Well, we're going to talk about it today on Iconic TV Live. And my name is Dr. Connie Scavella. I am your host. I am also a 3-time #1 best-selling author, international speaker, and a business growth strategist. And what does that mean? That means that we focus on turning your business around on a dime. That means really fast, so that you can scale it from 6 figures to 7 figures in 1 year or less without the stress, the struggle, or the overwhelm. So let's go back to it. What is the #1 factor that is going to have the greatest impact on your ability to make millions? Do you know what that is? Do you want to take a guess? Well, if you are here for the first time, I want you to click somewhere up above if you're watching in our Facebook family and let me know that you're here. If you are watching YouTube, come over here and subscribe. LinkedIn people, say hello. Let me know where you're coming in from. And I want to know, do you know the #1 factor for your success? If you master this, you will have millions. If you miss it, you will always be struggling and scrambling and searching for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And you know what we call that? We call that shiny object syndrome. So what do we need to do for you? We need to focus on your time. Time is the great equalizer. Everybody has the same amount, but not everybody treats it the same. Some people are very disrespectful of time, and some people are fearful of time. Like, oh, I'm running out of time, right? Oh, there's not enough. I can't get it all done. And some people waste it frivolously and fall into Parkinson's syndrome, right? And that is where the activities expand to fill the time. And you just keep working on things. So how are you as far as being a master of your time? And if you want to know, I would say, take out your planner, not just your electronic calendar, but like, do you have a planner? Do you actually write things down and plan it out and really go through it? Or is everything electronic? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I suggest you also have a written planner, because there's a power to writing and from the mind to the hand, right? And so you want to be able to use that as well. Now, what we do for ourselves and our clients, and we have the Iconic Leadership Planner, okay? But today we're talking about something that goes hand in hand with that, and that is, how do you have a life where you love your business, you love your life, but you're not spending too much in either one of those? And we're going to talk today about the 5-hour CEO workday. So if you're ready, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, 5-hour CEO workday. Usually when you get started in your business, it feels a little bit more like maybe 15 hours, right? Well, we're going to switch all of that around. I'm going to show you how you can use the 5-hour CEO workday. And I actually have a workbook of how to do it all. Because again, this is all about being able to master your time. And if you want to make sure that you do have more money than time, then I also want you to go ahead and book a profit call with us. Just type #profit. And I value my time just as much as you do. So what I will do is, in 5 minutes, I can show you exactly how you can double your profits without spending any more money on marketing or advertising, in just 5 minutes. And the best part is that there's only a couple things that we do. So today, this is what we're talking about. This is our agenda for today. And we are going to go over these 4 things, okay? So with the 5-hour CEO workday, we're going to talk about the vital facts. What are the vital facts that you need to know in order to make sure you're living this 5-hour CEO workday? And it is possible. Some of you might think I have so much to do. I learned this from one of my mentors. I modified it with some other things that I learned over the years, and I think we made it perfect. So we're also going to talk about the office design, because environment matters. Then I'm going to give you the action plan, so you know how to actually plan your day, and then I'm going to give you the workbook, okay? So if you are ready to go, let's go ahead and get started on this, okay? Because here's the thing. This is all about a new style of leadership, okay? No more 16-hour days. Those are gone, okay? And I want you to be able to have your whole business operate with precision, like a fine Swiss watch. No stress, no overwhelm, no frustrations, right? All of your constant daily companions, as those are gone, right? And instead, what do? You replace those with a driven, committed, and happy team. Okay. Your old roller coaster income is gone, and we're going to get you on a revenue rocket ship. So, where you are depositing money into your bank account every single day. Okay. That's how we want your life to be. Now, we've gone over that. How does this look? This is all about simplifying. Okay. We want to simplify and scale so that you can actually live your life in style. So how do we do this? Think of it like a star, okay? That's the workbook that you're going to get. If you want that workbook, if you just checked in, type hashtag PAR, P-A-R, okay? Hashtag PAR. I'm going to show you exactly what's in it so you can decide if you want it. And first thing we have to do is we've got to elevate your mind and look at a different way of thinking about business. You don't have to be a slave to it all the time. You can master your time, and then you can master your life and your money. So we're going to talk about scaling your business, optimizing the time, boosting your creativity, and simplifying your life. That's the 5-pointed star of what we are going to be working on. Okay. Now, as far as our agenda goes, let's go dive into this really deeply. And then I'm going to break down what you need to do and how you need to do it. Okay. Because all of this is around the fact that most people end up working more as they're trying to grow rather than working less. And that's because usually there's a strategic problem in your business. You haven't figured out who your team is. If you were really struggling from 0 to 6 figures, it's kind of normal, right? Maybe you didn't have all the money that you needed to hire a team. But when you're going from 6 to 7 figures, then a lot more assets are coming into play, more people, more tools, more resources. But there's what's called the law of 3. Okay, write this down, the law of 3. And that means every time you triple, let's say you started at $30,000 when you started your business, and then boom, you got it to $100,000. And that's a triple. Okay. So then it feels like, gosh, everything I started with is different. It's not working. Okay. Now you're at 100,000. From 100,000 to 300,000. When you hit that 300,000 mark, you'll start feeling it around 275, right? You'll feel like I'm just doing so much and it's different, right? I need to do more. Okay. It feels like you have to roll it all up, throw it out, and start again. Now, from 300 to 1,000,000, it's going to feel like that too, except there's a different feeling that happens. And what happens there is you're going to feel like to keep going and on this momentum and almost catching up with the speed of your business, that you have to buy more things, do more things, throw more things in the mix, add more people. And it feels like chaos as you're trying to scale. And it will feel like, oh, wow, I'm doing more, I'm working less, and I'm making less money because you're feeding more into the business and it has a bigger appetite. Okay. So it's like a hungry teenager from 300 to $1,000,000. Okay. Like there's just never enough food in the house for it. And so at that point, you might be tempted to go, this is too hard. Like you're so close, but you just think, God, there's so much going out. It was more fun when I was smaller. And you will self-sabotage and your mind will actually take you back down. So I did a workshop this morning and one of the people there said, yeah, you know what? I've noticed that I'm getting there, but slowly, right? And that's what happens. Going big can be scary if you don't know what you're doing. So I want to teach you this philosophy. This is what we do. Now, put down how many days in the week you work. How many days of the week are you working right now? 5 days, 4 days, 6 days, 8 days, 7 days. Put down in the comments how many. I want to see how many hours you guys are working, how many days you guys are working. Most people, when they come to us, right, usually they come to us and say, hey, we want to make more money. Cool. That's what we focus on. So we'll take you from 6 figures to 7 figures in a year. And you know what? They're mostly all working 7 days a week. So the first thing we do is we take off one day automatically. One day is a no tech touch day, right? You can't touch your tech for a whole day. Can't open your computer, can't do anything. Okay. Now, the other parts we're going to show you. And eventually, usually by the end of the first year, you should be working the full 5-hour CEO workday and taking your 2 days off on your weekends. Okay. So let's dive in and get into this. Okay. First thing we want to talk about is the vital facts. And these are some very important stats that you want to know. I hope you can see this. Okay. So if you look at a typical 8-hour week, okay, 8-hour day, an 8-hour shift has a lot of breaks and multitasking that goes on. Anybody a multitasker? Well, guess what? On a typical 8-hour shift, you will only actually produce 2 hours and 53 minutes of work. Okay. Now, the average work week for people right now, they're working 9.5 hours a day. That's 47 hours a week. Okay. However, in order for you to keep your brain sharp, right, the brain function actually declines. So you can't just keep working on a roll. Sometimes it feels like you can, right? Especially if you're an artist, you're like, oh, I could paint forever. But after 2 hours, the cognitive function really declines. Have you ever noticed anything? I'm going to stay up and just work a little bit longer, and then it takes much longer to do that. So every 2 hours, you must give your brain a break. And the importance of that can't be understated. Those breaks are when you actually get your insight and your genius ideas. And that's how actually Einstein always got his great ideas. He always said, yeah, I'm going to go to the factory. And he'd tap his head. And he would go and lay down and take a nap, because that's how he learned to figure all of this out. Okay. So make sure you get those 2-hour breaks, and make sure you do those in sequence. We call that a blitz and a break. You work for a blitz, a period of time, and then you take a break. Okay. Now, let's say you get lost in multitasking. The ability to refocus after that will take you 23 minutes. Let's say you're working on an email and then somebody comes in, you're like, oh, I should answer this text. Oh, and then a phone call. And then, when you hang up, then something pops up on your phone. Right? 23 minutes get lost. That's how come we lose so much time. And if you are a gamer or you play with a lot of devices, that actually shortens your attention span. Okay. Now, typical workers spend 100 hours a month in meetings. This is insane. Okay. If you want to know how to shorten your meetings, just type meetings down below, and I'll give you a quick call and I'll tell you what you can do about that. So remember, our human attention span is under 10 seconds. Okay. 77% of workers are experiencing burnout, and they want to quit. Okay. And so why is that? Because here's the fact, again, back to the brain. The brain actually uses 25% of the body's energy. And so if you're, as an entrepreneur, a business owner, as you're growing your business, pretty much every day something new comes up and you're learning new things. That's very taxing on the brain. By the end of the day, you have decision fatigue, especially if you haven't taken your breaks. So these are the vital facts. This is why I want you to understand that this shouldn't be optional. It should be mandatory. Okay. And again, what we do is whatever your planner is, however you use it, again, we use this, the Iconic Leadership Planner, and we built in this whole formula in here so that you actually don't have to try and fit it around anything. If you want some information on that, just ask for the planner, and we'll be happy to show you that. So, but it is proprietary to all the systems we use to grow and scale your business to 7 figures. And it's awesome. Okay. One of our clients, Clara, she is a master at IP. And she said, Connie, that thing keeps me on focus. It's the one thing. She has like one of those squirrel minds, right? And so that's why she's great at working on inner programming for her clients. But she says, that's the thing that keeps me going and keeps me on track. And so that's what we want. You always want to have a track to run on. Okay. So we know the vital facts. What do we need to look at? So we're going to look at the action plan. Okay. And then I'm going to show you how to set this up in your own environment. All right. So what you want to do is you want to separate devices for your work and your home. Don't let everything bleed into one another. Okay. You want to have a separate phone for your work and a separate for home, a laptop for home and a laptop for work, okay? Or a tablet or whatever you use. Now, you want to lock the door at the end of the day. Have your office there, go in it. That's when you're telling your brain you're working. And at the end of the day, you leave it, lock the door, and you can't unlock it until the next morning, okay? So you have to separate this physically and for the brain. And this may sound crazy, but this works, okay? And then now, before you leave, this is very important. Before you leave, I have in my office what's called a magic whiteboard. And on it, I create a list of 6 items and just handwrite it with dry erase marker. And I put the 6 things that I need to do. Most important things are on that list every single day. I don't leave the office without that list, right? Why can't some people sleep? Because they're listless, right? If you know, okay, I finished the day. This is like closing, like you close the door, shut the door, lock the door. It's like closing the till in a restaurant, right? You take all the stuff out, you count it, you make sure it balances so you have a clean slate when you come in. And that's what you're doing here as well. So you want to make sure that you have your list. And then the first thing you do the next day when you come in is number 1 on that list. So you don't fumble around and wonder or get caught up in email first. No, before you touch anything, you do the number 1 thing on your list. This is very, very, very important. All right. So back to the action plan. Your work sessions, okay, are less than 2 hours. So if the first thing you're going to do is let's say you're making a pitch deck, work on it for 2 hours maximum. Okay. And then you take a break. And when you take a break, you leave the office. That means physically walk away from where you're sitting. Don't just start the next thing and roll into another thing. Physically leave the office, okay? When you do this, you work no more than 5 hours a day based on the way that you can divide out the day, all right? Now, what you want to do is on your breaks, go into nature. Like actually, if you watch Huberman's Lab, he also talks about first thing in the day, get out there and get sunlight into your eyes as quickly as possible. And then on your breaks, connect with other people, especially if you are a solo entrepreneur or you have a remote staff and everybody works on their own. Very important to connect, right? People need those connections. So also make sure that you understand that clutter in your house, in your office, is also clutter in your mind, right? How you are as a person is reflected in your business and vice versa. Okay. So I can usually tell if someone's going along great and then everything starts to kind of crumble and they do what we call turtling and they disappear. I know something's going, but the business is going okay. I know something's going on in their personal life, right? And so you can look at the two. You can't separate them. Okay. And if you look at SOAR in the book SOAR, that's our business formula, SOAR, that has a singularity. You have to have one singular focus. Your business and your work life are really one thing. And that's how you have balance. If you've ever been trying to have balance, if you're trying to balance 2 things, well, it's one thing. Okay. And it's a perfect cube and it balances. It's so easy. Okay. So now you know those 2 things. Let's, I just want to remind you, if you want the workbook that has all of this stuff in there, okay, type #PAR, #PAR, okay, and I'm going to show you all of the pages that come with this as well. Okay, so we talked about the daily 6. Remember on my whiteboard, I make a list of 6 things. What are the 6 revenue generating activities I can do? Not like, oh yeah, take the dog, to the vet, etc. That's not revenue producing. Okay, this is revenue producing. We're focused on business here. So write the 6 things down and then prioritize them. Okay, very, very important. Also, do the first thing. Most of the time, you won't get all 6. Our eyes are bigger than our stomachs, right? We can't digest it all, but we see it all. So make sure that you always start with your first thing, because at the end of the day, you're going to feel amazing if at least you got the most important thing done. Okay. Now let's take a look at the office design. How do you design your office? This is vital. Have you ever worked in a place where it was just an awful environment? And you've probably even seen Google and Facebook, and they have these environments with games and pool tables and all that kind of stuff and funky chairs. Your environment really, really matters. Some of the hot tips, okay, is that you're going to make this an enjoyable place. You cannot have a TV in there. That's a distraction, or games, okay? You want to make it inspiring with your artwork. Mirrors are always very positive, lots of light, okay? And you might have different areas where you sit in, okay? Try, if you don't have a separate room, okay, then carton one off. If you have to work in the dining room, the table that nobody ever uses, well, put a curtain up, with a rod, and then just close that, okay? Or even some kind of tape, or like one of those velvet ropes, something that says to you and the other people in the house, I am in my office, okay? But preferably something you can lock. Make sure the temperatures are always even so you don't get cold and hot, and create a file system so that you don't create piles, right? Files over piles. And when you are working in your office, keep your PC and your phones for work in there. Don't take them out into the living room and other places. Work in your environment. I promise you, this will give you the maximum benefit. And then keep a whiteboard for your daily tasks. I like to have a little fridge and have some stuff in there so I don't have to go off to the kitchen and get distracted. And you also, is there anybody out there like me that, like, when you're on the phone, I do a lot of coaching calls, and I do those on the phone mostly because I can pace. Does anybody like to pace, like back and forth as you're talking? Or especially if you're really heated up on something, you're going to probably pace a little bit more. You actually want to create a flow in your office design so that you can actually do that. Otherwise, you'll feel very stifled and you'll get really antsy and angry. Okay. So you can see there's a lot of psychology behind this, but it's just simple things that you have to do. The environment is really important. Just like you've heard the people around you, the 5 closest people around you, right? You can look at your income based on that. So environment matters. And oftentimes our environment, if you're not really focused on mind mastery, your environment is going to affect you more than you affect your environment. Okay. So, and then, you also want to make sure, like I said, there's no TV, and that you actually have your singular focus. What is the singular focus that you are working on? Maybe this quarter you are focused on bringing in new hires, or maybe you're focused on hitting a certain number. Like, this is the month that you're going to do $22,000 every single week, and that's going to take you to the $1 million run rate. Okay, it's not that hard. So have that somewhere around, so everywhere you look, you're inculcated in this environment. Does this make sense to you guys? Okay, it's simple to do. The question is, are you going to do it? Okay, and it doesn't take a lot to do. Usually what it means is you're getting rid of things rather than adding in things. Okay, so the list of 6 is very important. And then this is all going to be in the workbook. Okay, so let's go take a deeper dive on how that looks. Okay, in there's going to be a schedule. Okay, this is your daily iconic schedule. It's a B&B schedule. What does B&B mean? It means blitz and break, where you have a focused time of working, a focused concentration, where that's called a blitz, and then you take a break. And you alternate blitz, break, blitz, break. And as you can see on the schedule, right, you can start in with your first task, whatever's on your whiteboard, okay? And then you take a break, okay? And then you work on the next task, and then you take a break. And then maybe you do a lunch. We like to do the 2-hour lunch, okay? And then we come back and work on the next task and take a break. Now, here's the thing. Okay, and when you're done, right, lock up and leave. So how do you blitz? So you blitz in a 30-minute blitz, 60-minute, 90-minute, or 2-hour. Okay. So those are your blitz periods and then break. Now, you don't want to do like a 30-minute and a 2-hour break and a 30-minute and a 2-hour break. That's not it. Okay. But usually in the middle of the day, have your longer lunch period and get out. Okay. And get into a new environment and then come back and you will feel refreshed. You might think that I can't leave, I just have to finish. Your brain then has already started at 75% decline if you've overworked 2 hours. So you need to get away from it and you will get a fresh perspective and new eyes, right? And this also compresses time. If you've ever worked on something really, really hard for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, you're like, okay, I'm going to come back and visit that tomorrow. And then you're kind of groggy and then you look at it and it's still not clear. And then you come back and look at it a different day. It doesn't need to happen that way. You can actually compress it just by taking those breaks in between. So it makes everything move a lot faster. Okay. So now PAR is how you review everything. Okay. If you follow up and check on how you're doing, right, what you check on will grow. Okay. So the 7-figure revenue analysis, and you're going to put in there the goal and the actual. Okay. And now here on ours, we put in things like the number of appointments, the number of calls, and the number of sales. If you just track 3 things, whatever your business is, those 3 things, if you track those, will be the number one things you need to move the needle on your money. Okay. Track your income. What was your income and what's your year-to-date revenue? So you can see things going up. The brain needs to see movement, okay, for it to be motivated. So you might track the number of leads you get, the number of talks you do, events you do, networking events, how much you're spending on payroll, how much your marketing and ads are. What are the things that will affect your business? These are your business KPIs. Now, you can change them to fit you, of course, but those are very universal for anybody. So if you start tracking just those little things, you will start to notice it'll be constantly on your mind, and then you will start to do activities to improve those. So now the PAR, post-action review, okay? And you might have heard of an AAR, after action report, or something like this. This is very similar, right? Once you do something, at the end of the day, you need to tally up. How did I do? Okay. And we use the SOAR formula here. And so you're going to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay. And the 4 areas that you rate your day at the end of the day is SOAR. Okay. What were your successes for the day? The O, what were your opportunities for the day? The A, what actions did you take? And the R is the remedies. If things didn't quite go the way you wanted, okay, what remedy could you use in case you run into that again? And then on each thing, well, I had these successes. Well, how would you rate that? I think those were like 4 or 5, right? The goal is not to get a perfect 10. The goal is to be really honest. How'd you really do? Okay. And so we do this on a weekly basis with our clients so that we know when they're starting to get into a stuck mode or start to drop or get overwhelmed. And when we see it and when they report it, they're aware, and then we are aware also. So there are no surprises, right? Is this making sense? Now, this doesn't take a lot of effort or a lot of time. Okay. So at the end of the week, you just want to kind of tally it all so you see it, right, in a 1-page form at the end of the week. How did you do with all of those KPIs? Okay. Now, again, if you want the checklist, just ask for it. It has the checklist and the schedule and all of the action plans and the design for your office and the vital facts that you need to know. So just type #PAR, okay, #PAR if you would like this workbook. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you in this is that in the workbook, we have a bunch of blanks in there so that you can just fill those out as you go along, okay? And there's it's designed so that you have a 90-day schedule, right? Because here's the thing, we like to work with quadrants, okay? So 90 days are a great amount of of time, right? So you can do it however your schedule is. And what do I mean by that? Some people have a different schedule every day. Some people have planned days, and that's how we do. We have theme days, okay? Monday is a meeting day, Tuesday is talking day, Wednesday is hump day hot seats. That was where we meet with our clients and have coaching sessions. And so you see on Fridays our follow up, and so we have a theme for the day. And so that way we know kind of what our schedule is. So you might have a theme for the day, you might have a different kind of day every week, or you might have a system where you pretty much do the same thing every day. I was working with a gentleman this morning who is a trader, and he trades in agricultural futures. Okay. And so pretty much his day is the same, what he's doing. And he only works from 5 a.m. He gets up, he's in the office at 6, and then he's out at 11. Okay. So he's actually doing it. Okay. He's been doing it for a number of years and he loves it. He actually doesn't have a good place in his home with his little kids running around all over the place. So he actually comes into the office and does his 5 hours and leaves, and he leaves everything behind when he goes, right? Imagine how clear his brain is. Okay. So he loves his life. Okay. And he gets to see his family and everything. Okay. So that's the whole goal, right? If you are a master of your time, you're going to be a master of your life. So if you want to talk about this, if you want to optimize your world, if you think, I can't do this, not with my business, okay? I promise you, I can right away knock 8 hours off of your week. I promise you that. And then we'll chisel away and get you all the way down to the 5-hour CEO workday. Does that sound good? Okay, if you do want to do that, hop on a call with me. I can just look at your calendar and your schedule, and then we can look at that and figure out what do we need to do to fix that so that you have more free time. And of course, I want you to go ahead and get the workbook. Okay. So get the workbook, ask for it, and with it will come some training as well. So all you have to do is type #PAR and you can get that. And remember, part of a CEO workday is not doing all the work yourself. If you have all these marketing things that you have to do, you're creating all the content and doing all that yourself, forget about it. Okay. You can go to the agencyfinder.com, get all of your marketing done for you at less than the cost of you hiring somebody to do it. Okay. So come back here next week. If you just got here and you're just checking in and you missed the beginning part where we showed you everything, type #replay. We'll get everything for you. And we will see you next week for Iconic TV Live at 5. See you then.